So, sit down. There's a kid I know. We'll call him by his self-appointed nickname. Welcome to the story of Shadowfang. Part 1. Introduction to the entity. New school junior year. Normal, kind of. 4th period comes around. Sit down in chemistry class. Individual stools. There is a black turbaned fellow and all sitting on the stool in front of me. He turns around. Got a miss sketch, it's short Shadowfang. I held back my laughter until class ended and nodded my head. After class, my friend tells me she's known him for a while. He lies a lot. Shadowfang comes over to my friend and I talking at the locker. Bursts in. So let me tell you a story so you can get to know Shadowfang. So I went over to my girlfriend's house when I noticed something was wrong. I looked in the door and I walked through. I walked into her room and through the door crack, I saw her dad beating her. I broke down the door and I beat the shit out of her dad. I tossed him out of the window. Her legs were broken, so I picked her up and started to carry her out of the house. She died and I walked down the street to the hospital, next to the park. So I buried her then and there. What a tragedy. My friend and I looked at each other and just nodded, in fear of dying. We both walked away. I told her this was going to be quite the interesting year. Thus begins the epic of Shadowfang. Part 2. The legendary Shadowfang. So at this point, I'm curious about him and ask around about him. What I learned from one day, the day after his introduction. He apparently has a fully loaded 50 caliber sniper rifle concealed under his bed. He kisses it before he goes to sleep. He's punched a tiger in the face. He once survived from the wilderness for 2 weeks with nothing less than a sharp piece of wooden table, a match, and fully nude at 20-degree weather, Fahrenheit. He once pushed a guy into a train and killed him while near a railroad track because the guy was hitting on his then girlfriend, the one who died. He has met and played with the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, and Pink Floyd. He was 16. So, after learning these things, I kept a close eye on him. Part 3. Ninja Art. Fat Jitsu. A couple weeks later. No real new proceedings. He's been annoying and quirky in chemistry as usual. I've transferred into a photography class. We get to walk around during 3rd period taking pictures. Shadowfang has PE this 3rd period. I get excited. I walk over to the PE area. There he is, sitting in roll call. Teacher roll calling. Is blank here? Shadowfang bursts upwards and begins shouting. It's pronounced Shadowfang, my lady! Teacher, hideously cranky, sends Shadowfang to office. My friend and I burst into laughter and walk away. Next day they are playing dodgeball. Shadowfang doing his usual ridiculous thing. Suddenly, while on the tennis court, he takes the Karate Kid pose. Most people out on Shadowfang's team. Shadowfang jumping and crawling around like a dunce. All of a sudden, he stands up and doesn't move for a second. Lowers his head into a rape face. Ninja Art! Bull Balance Jitsu! I had no idea what he was talking about. He holds the ball over his head. He then puts it to his chest and waves it around for a good 10 seconds. Teacher face palming. Shadowfang then runs his fat ass over to the tennis net. Jumps. Amazingly, his fatness clears the net and pelts a freshman girl clean in the face at point blank range. She is cringing on the ground and crying. He cries a horrid war cry. You're not gonna get a farm! I didn't believe it! I fall to my knees in the grassy hill, watching this transpire, dying of laughter. Teacher glances at me. I know she wants me and my friend to leave. As I walk away, she shoos him back up to the office. How could this get any better? I had no idea what was about to come. Part 4. 1,000 Sons of Misfortune. Another couple of weeks later, a dodgeball has been replaced with kickball. Been chilling in photo room and not shooting for a while. I decide to check in on a good old Shadowfang. We walk over to the grass, where Shadowfang is boxing style, throwing punches at the gate, waiting to kick. Shadowfang's turn. The catcher, terrified, backs up. He's waiting for the pitch. Shadowfang looks up to the sky. One does not simply guide the ball into the heavens. Shaking my head in both laughter and dismay. The pitch is thrown. Footer's gone! He throws his fat leg forward and kicks the ball straight up into the air. The catcher walks forward and catches the ball with ease. 1,000 sons of misfortunes for you, he says, walking away, waving his arms around like a retard. My friends and I walk away, amazed and giggling. Next day, taking pictures of moving objects. Decide to get one of Shadowfang's fat ass. Walk over to find a sophomore on the ground holding his gut. Shadowfang is swinging his arms around like a ninja, making stupid faces. "I'll punch the tigers in the face, silly mortal!" Now, being friends with the teacher, as I've been chatting with her about him over time, I talked to her. Well, Eric questioned the epicness of Shadowfang, and he decided the best way to handle the situation was to punch him in the gut, or just Thunder Raizuken, or whatever. I laughed and talked about the poor sophomore, who gets up and yells at Shadowfang. "You are not a match for me! 1,000 sons of misfortune to you!" The teacher sends him up again. I ask her how he gets away with it, and apparently he has some sort of habit to imitate, and I cannot control it. Or so Shadowfang claims. PE was only the beginning. Part 5. An experiment gone wrong. A month later, sitting in bio, talking with a lady friend, waiting for a class to start. In walks Shadowfang, turbanless. The longest, grueliest hair I've ever seen flows behind him. I sit behind him on the stool, remember? Bell rings and we all sit down. He brushes his hair back with his thick fingers. Some sort of brown matter fills the air. I begin gagging to move closer to my friend in the lab station. My friend can't help but comment on how gruesome this was. I look over to my lady friend, who was distraught, and goes to the nurse because her stomach ached from the fumes. We had a lab to do that day that used Bunsen burners. Teacher begins yelling at Shadowfang because his hair is a fire hazard. Shadowfang excuses himself and does the lab anyways. Teacher, infuriated, gives him a fail in the lab. Still does it anyway. Burners are hot. My friend and I are ready. Here comes Shadowfang from the other side of the room. "Shit, turn it off, dude!" I quickly sputter. We turn it off, but risk failing the lab. His hair brushes over our burner. Immediate danger avoided. Teacher who hated me now likes me due to avoiding certain doom. Pass the lab. Mad at Shadowfang. I look over to his lab station. He's cooking his pencil. It catches fire. He begins waving around, pretending he's a firebender. "Behold, Fire Lord Shadowfang, Master of Fire!" What hasn't he done at this point? Nothing surprises me now. He dances for a moment, swinging the pencil everywhere. Nearby girl shrieks and yells at Shadowfang. Teacher enters bitch fit mode and kicks his ass out. Almost dropped from class. After a day of gagging and nearly burning the lab down, I'm beginning to find him quite the hazard. Things pick up though. Part 6. The pinnacle of annoyance. Nearing the end of the year, strange things in regards to Shadowfang still happening. One day, I walk out of chemistry. "You! I challenge you to a duel!" He's looking at me, and I just shake my head. "You must face me!" I assume that he realized that my lady friend and I are well known at the school for our martial arts. No, dude, go away. I continue walking. Right before I turn the corner, I look back. Here comes Shadowfang, running in his ninja pose. Leaning forward, arms straight back, trailing behind. Surprised, I speed walk to class. Think I'm safe. My favorite teacher welcomes me in. In comes Shadowfang. "There is no escape! You shall perish!" I'm starting to become a bit worried. Teacher kicks him out. "I will have my revenge," he whispers as he exits the room. The teacher looks at me. I shake my head in disoriented unknowing. A week later, it happens again. He challenges me. This time though, uncaring, accepted. "Ha! Let us go! Come at me!" I walk over to my locker. He's just standing there, posing and looking retarded. I grab my books and walk away. "Ha! You flee! I win! There is no fighter!" Couldn't give any less of a fuck. Start walking away. All of a sudden, he walks up to me, taps me in the back and my knees and my stomach. I will not accept this. "Fine, Shadowfang. Just know that this was a terrible idea, and you'll get yours soon." He gargles in what I think was a laugh and does his stupid ninja sprint away. This will no longer be tolerated. My lady friend, my good friend, and I start thinking of ways to get revenge. We investigate for next month, waiting for a cue. Part 8. Temporary fulfillment. 2 weeks left of school. Have reserved to sock him hard in the stomach on the last day of school. After second period, students are free to leave. Second period ends. I speed walk over to where he exits. He walks out of class. I clench my fist and in a sea of people, punch him clear in the fat gut. Satisfied, I walk away from the scene. He never knew he did it. Too busy looking at his Naruto playing card things. Senior year next year. Things are only beginning. Part 9. Return of the Fat and the Toddly. Senior year beginning. Seeing old friends again. Walk into third period. It's international trade and commerce and politics. Sitting, fatter than ever, is Shadowfang. Full on lumberjack beard rather than last year's facial pubes. Class begins. Teacher is my last year's math teacher, and pretty chill. We talk about political parties one day. Class is debating about political parties. Shadowfang gets up and I facepalm. Well, fascism is clearly for all you pussies out there. Thank God I sit on the other side of the room. I would have railed him. Teacher calms Shadowfang down and asks to explain. Nazis! They have the right idea! Jewish teacher doesn't favour this idea very much. Sent to the office. Lady friend and I, along with the class, laugh for the rest of class. After class, I see him go to his locker. I observe. And his locker is a mountain of different playing cards. Revenge plot thickening. Part 10. Gathering the army after the scar. A few weeks have passed. Shadowfang now in my English class as well. First thing in the morning. One morning, first period, I walk in. No one is in the room. Only Shadowfang and friend Arthur. Teacher is outside, talking to the teacher lady friend. Backpack on lap, shaking, laptop on desk. I know what's going on. Mr. Long? You might want to get in here. Mr. Long runs over to room. There sits Shadowfang, heavily breathing. Excuse me, sir! I must get a tissue. I've got a cold. Really starting to get on my nerves. Friend Arthur gets up and a new alliance has been formed. Over the course of the next 2 weeks, I sought to help with everyone to stop this horrible monster. Part 11. The plan is set. A few weeks later, in international and politics, Shadowfang continued being a dumbass as usual. To his one notably disgusting friend, he pulls out a card. Read this card! Friend on the other side of the room confirms he paid $300 for said card. Obviously, these cards must be terminated. A group of my 7 friends decide now is the time to strike. Not much going on in senior year. Plenty of time to chill and plan. A week passes. A plan has been made. A tip-off from person says his locker combo and how many cards he has, as well as which one he cherishes. My school does senior projects, in which people sport what their hobbies are and what they spent time doing. It's mandatory. There is a presentation with a PowerPoint. The school board, a teacher, and students and parents are on the panel. Things are about to get very interesting. Part 12. Sunset before the attack, Part 1. Night before senior project. Most seniors are freaking out, including Shadowfang. He's been bragging about doing his on his pride cards. With all my knowledge, I've gained my 7 troops are ready to attack. I've learned that he leaves most of his cards in his locker. Sad mistake. When school is over, we open the locker and grab the cards, along with any boxes and a USB that contains the PowerPoint he's presenting. We split the parts up to the 7 different people. One friend takes the boxes, and the permanent marker, or Sharpie, draws penises and curse words all over the cards, giving my autistic friend detailed instructions to be as vile as possible. Keep in mind, these would be shown to the panel of watchers. One of my friends would print out porn from the internet and permaglue porn all over pictures. One friend would print out gore and do the same thing. The other 4 will rip, water, and destroy the other remaining cards. I was left with his most prized cards. Part 13. Sunset before the attack, Part 2. Feeling good that night, I began my part. I began scratching out all I can with pens and other nonsense, leaving only the $300 card untouched. I burn, rip, and continue to do these things, much like I instructed my friends to do. Having these porn cards from Las Vegas my friends gave me, I replaced some valuable ones for his tarred ones. Last card was remaining, the $300 card. There is no way around it. Fapping commences. When done, I jizz on the card and with a tissue, smear it all over the front of the card. I made sure the stench of the semen was apparent. I fucking slept so good that night. I contacted the 7, and they were done, and planned to be at school, ready and set. Part 14. Excuse me, why is this card crusty? Part 1. That morning, we all met at school early. The earliest presentations don't begin until 1:30, and must take 10 minutes each. We walked through the front office. Doing office practice actually fucking paid off. Told the front desk lady that we were studying AP for exams, and she bought it. Tossed the cards back into his locker, exactly how he had it. Made sure to keep some cards the same, lest not to be stupid enough to find out. We leave and chill around till about 1:45, and made sure to know his time of the presentation. We walk into MPR, multi-purpose room, and there he stands, in a suit, yet still looking like a fucking idiot. He is holding his boxes of cards, ready to present. He has no fucking clue. The time comes. To my dismay, I was not put on his panel, but one of the 7 was. Asked to join. The teacher that is harboring the presentation? The PE teacher that became my friend. She let me in on the presentation. It begins. Part 15. Excuse me, why is this card crusty? Part 2. He begins and starts talking about his gay little hobby. He opens up his box. Shattered dreams of broken and burned cards spew out his first box. Shadowfang shrieks in a panic at such atrocity. Teacher and rest of panel skeptically looking at him. Board of Education. Person speaks. Son, you do realize that failing this presentation can result in being held back this year. Holy fuck! I didn't even know that. Wait. Like a bitch, Shadowfang panics and is wailing like a maniac. A minute passes and he calms down. He looks into one box and finds cards we didn't tamper with. He continues, knowing that he fucks up again, he's dumb. He looks into one of his boxes and finds the cards that I tampered with. Doesn't realize that the cum card and porn cards are being passed around. A student panel member takes the first look at the box cards and bursts out laughing. The final moments have begun. Part 16. Excuse me, why is this card so crusty? Part 3. The finale. The Board of Education member, now furiously ripping the box out of the student's hands, grabs it. Porn cards and burnt ashes fly everywhere. The panel begins looking at the cards. This is unbelievable! The board member, staring at the pornographic cards, is so mad his face is going tomato. Students on panel leave because Bone is at maximum laughing. Meanwhile, Shadowfang is crying, watching his future crumble apart before his very eyes. I'm among the mayhem, pretending to be surprised. The PE teacher pretends to get mad and leaves. As she exits the door, I see her nearly crying from laughing as she walks away. Shadowfang has literally peed his pants and is crying with tenacity. My friend and I look at each other. Mission fucking accomplished. Here, this is mayhem. The board member is looking around and throwing his clipboard aside. Then Shadowfang remembers. Wait! My card! He whips out his $300 card. The board member rips it from his hands. Excuse me, why is this card crusty? My friend loses his shit and begins laughing. I'm still composed. The 20 people in the room was now reduced to just the remaining panel and me. The board member sniffs the card. The look on his fucking face. This card... He can't even finish that sentence. I swear you will not pass the senior year, and your chances of changing that are non-existent. Bonus points to me. Shadowfang, barely able to see, crying, looks at me. I give him the gnarliest face I can, smirking at him. He grunts and lets out what I assume is the nerd's battle cry. I act surprised. Not only was Shadowfang able to finish senior year, he was expelled from the county for inappropriate belongings and attacking me. He can let attend the college he wants now. I couldn't be more satisfied. Somewhere out there, he's still in high school. This is my freshman year in college. I can't help but feel so fucking good, knowing that I was the cause of the end of the great Shadowfang. Epic fucking victory.